Hey, how's it going? Dylan here, and this is
Alex.
And welcome to my Gemini Man review, or our Gemini Man review, do you think? So, thanks to Paramount Pictures, I got invited to a advanced screening of Gemini Man, which is directed by Ang Lee in 3D+, which is a 60 frames per second 3D presentation. Now, I have to say, I wasn't really that keen on it, but I decided to go anyway because it was sure to be interesting. So, let's dive right into my review. Being generally not a big fan of HFR, which is high frame rate, I didn't have really high hopes for this one. For me, it became one of those films that slid right into the back of my mind right up until the day I went to a screening. Gemini Man's plot is a fairly simple one. Will Smith, who's old, gets hunted by a younger, better version of Will Smith. Sounds very plausible. In any case, it's a showcase for some cool technology, and Ang Lee obviously decided that he wanted to pull all the stops and do another Billy Lynn in 60 frames per second high frame rate. It's actually filmed in 120, but most theaters are only showing it in 60. With fairly decently directed action, Gemini Man can be considered a decent entry into the action thriller genre. The action sequences, the big set pieces, generally flow pretty well for the most part. So definitely better than a lot of other films that have come out this year, but by no means it's not differentiating itself from the pack. The absolute highlight of the entire film is the young Will Smith digital character that they've created here, I believe by Weta in New Zealand. And boy does he deliver. That looks absolutely stunning. Through the magic of visual effects, they have completely and for the most part, accurately recreated a younger version of Will Smith in his 20s. And yes, it looks a little bit uncanny sometimes, but it's far and above anything else that's ever been done in film. It looks miles better, and at some points you can kind of look at it and go, you might even think that that's a real shot. And it's sure to be gunning for that Best Visual Effects Oscar this year. Ang Lee has once again obviously opted to release the film in high frame rate 3D+. So in my case it was 60 frames per second. And although the 3D does actually work decently here, it felt nice, there was no weird artifacts going on, and it kind of actually made it less cinematic already to kind of prepare me for the onslaught of 60 frames per second high frame rate. That being said, the HFR does have its downsides still. Still extremely... I'm still not a fan of it. In action scenes in particular, when the camera suddenly decides to go at supersonic speeds through the environment at 60 frames per second, it felt incredibly jarring and instantly did not feel like I was watching a movie anymore, and I felt like I was watching a cutscene from a video game on a nice PC. It felt that unrealistic. It's odd, isn't it? Because they're actually trying to pursue a more realistic representation, but in reality, it feels faker. And as a result, I felt every single tiny bump and camera shake, because none of it's blurred, because obviously the frame rate's higher, less motion blur. So you feel every tiny little movement, which in my opinion is a really bad thing. It really takes you out of the moment. Apart from Will Smith here, we have a fairly decent collection of actors and actresses rounding out the supporting cast here. We've got Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who's one of my favourite people working today in movies. She is great, and she's not really used a lot here. We also have Benedict Wong and Clive Owen. All don't really have that much material to work with. Will Smith's definitely the star here, obviously. I mean, who didn't expect that to happen? But it would have been nice to see a little bit more from these supporting characters to kind of build up their backstory and their intentions. Gemini Man definitely bested my expectations. I didn't love the film, but I also didn't hate the film. Somewhere sitting right in the middle of the road, which is honestly where most kind of action thrillers usually sit for me, apart from a few. Bolstered by some of the best visual effects this year, but hindered by high frame rate capture. Gemini Man is out on October 10th in Australian cinemas, thanks to Paramount Australia for inviting me along. And someone is clicking. Who's clicking? Thanks for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you want to see more. Hit that bell button to be notified of new uploads as they become available. And until next time, take very good care. But don't forget to leave a comment below or over on Twitter. Always open for a chat. Was that fun? Yeah? Can you say, see you next time?
See you.
Good enough.